Everything humans have ever built now weighs more than every living thing on Earth, combined. 1,000,000 years from now, they'll dig up your toothbrush, fossilized right next to a dinosaur bone. And that's just one of 8 things this planet is quietly hiding from you. Alright, let's just jump right in. 8 things quietly happening to planet Earth that nobody's telling you about. Number 8. Earth is getting lazy about spinning. So picture this. You wake up one morning and realize your alarm clock has been straight up lying to you. And no, it's not broken. The planet itself has literally decided to slow down and take it easy. Truth is, Earth's spin is slowly winding down. And even though you'll never feel it while you're doom scrolling on your phone, every century that passes makes a single day about 1.7 milliseconds longer. Yeah, that sounds like nothing compared to one good sleep in, right? But let's rewind the clock way back. About 1.4 billion years. Back then, a single day lasted just 18 hours. And the culprit behind this cosmic scale time heist? The moon. Looks all innocent up there. But honestly? It's basically a giant brake pad on our planet. Their gravitational tug-of-war creates tidal friction. The oceans get dragged back and forth, putting an invisible drag on our spin. Every time the tide rises, it burns off kinetic energy and turns it into heat, slowly draining the planet's mojo. In return, the moon is quietly sneaking away from us, about 3.8 centimeters every single year. Kind of like a partner who drains all your energy, and then packs their bags and leaves. Brutal. So here's the long-term fallout of all this. Our descendants will be grinding through work shifts dozens of hours long, with the sun still refusing to set. Basically, you're living on a giant spinning top that's running out of steam, all thanks to one gray rock in the sky. Bottom line, Earth is easing into an ultra-slow early retirement, just so you get a tiny bit more time each day to regret all your bad decisions. But here's the plot twist. Right now, Earth is actually speeding up. On July 9, 2025, it spun so fast it set the shortest day ever recorded, about 1.6 milliseconds under 24 hours. So long-term it's slowing down, but lately? It honestly can't make up its mind. Number 7. The North Pole is off on a road trip to Russia. So if you're that guy who whips out an old-school compass just to look special, I've got bad news. Your little gadget is being gaslit by the planet's own core. The magnetic North Pole, that invisible spot every compass needle points to. It's making an unannounced journey from Canada towards Siberia in Russia, and at a speed that's got scientists sweating buckets. For hundreds of years it was pretty lazy, just hanging around the Canadian Arctic. But since the 1990s it suddenly floored it, up to 55 kilometers a year. Like it's sprinting to catch the last train to Russia. The reason lies about 3,000 kilometers beneath your feet, where a river of molten iron is swirling around like a giant hot pot somebody forgot on the stove. This loose outer core works like a giant generator, creating the magnetic field that shields us. But this flow is unstable, creating hot spots that shove the North Pole all over the place. This forces every navigation system on Earth, from military jets to the map app on your phone, to constantly update, so a nice ocean cruise doesn't accidentally turn into a landing on dry land. Some geologists even worry this is a sign of a global pole reversal, where North and South swap places and flip everything upside down, like flipping a pancake. While we're all busy bickering over borders up on the surface, deep down below, rivers of metal are quietly redrawing the world map, without asking anyone's permission. Simply put, your compass isn't broken. Earth's iron heart is just having an identity crisis and decided to move to a new time zone. Number 6. The Earth is groaning. Try closing your eyes and searching for total silence in the dead of night. Think you nailed it? Yeah, no, my condolences. Because this planet is actually singing, or more like groaning one low, muffled note nonstop, 24/7, without you having a clue. It's called the Earth's hum, a bizarre background track at ultra-low frequencies, strong enough to shake the most sensitive instruments, from the peak of Everest all the way down to the bottom of the Mariana Trench. It's like living inside a giant, ancient refrigerator, the kind that randomly buzzes and rattles the whole floor until you lose your mind. Only this fridge is the size of an entire planet, and there's no off switch. For decades, scientists scratched their heads trying to crack it. Was it the atmosphere? Nuclear tests? Or was Earth actually trying to chat with aliens in ultra-low base? The truth? Way dumber than that. It's actually ocean waves smacking into the continental shelves that are the main culprit. When the waves hit, they press down on the surface over and over, sending mechanical vibrations rippling across the whole planet, just like a big subwoofer rattling your windows. Every second that ticks by, the planet squeezes like a beating heart, creating a resonance that never stops. You think you're standing on solid ground, but really you're standing on a giant slab of rock that's trembling because the ocean keeps slapping it in the face. Which means every time you meditate for some peace and quiet, you're physically surrounded by planet-scale white noise. Earth is basically a bass player, full of passion, zero subtlety, turning every corner into a disco floor at a volume only machines are sharp enough to hear. Number 5. The atmosphere is pulsing. Ever felt like some invisible force is weighing down on your shoulders when you're walking in the sun? Or that the air around you seems to be pulsing? If so, congrats, you're not hallucinating. You're actually sitting at the bottom of an ocean of air that swells with every breath of the cosmos. We all know about ocean tides, but almost nobody mentions that the atmosphere goes through the same thing, atmospheric tides. On an even more chaotic scale, picture the sky not as still empty space, but as a giant blob of jelly being constantly kneaded by the sun and the moon. When the sun heats things up, gas molecules puff up and float like a pudding rising in the oven, sending pressure waves traveling all across the planet. This isn't just some weather forecaster thing. It's a full-on physics battle happening right over your head. The moon's pull and the sun's heat team up to create atmospheric waves tens of kilometers tall, pushing the air out and then squeezing it back down, like a giant bicycle pump at work. You're living under a mass of air as heavy as a 10-meter column of water pressing on your head, and that weight is constantly bobbing up and down with the orbital cycle. We're like tiny shrimp and crabs on the deep seafloor, totally clueless about the violent waves sweeping by overhead, up where the sky meets pitch black space. This pulsing affects the wind, the temperature, and even the orbits of satellites. But because we're so tiny, we just take it for granted, like breathing in and out. Earth is doing a massive aerobics routine by squeezing its atmosphere. And you? You're just an oblivious passenger enjoying the ride in perfect blissful ignorance. Number 4. Homemade earthquakes. You think earthquakes are just Mother Nature throwing a tantrum? Maybe. But the truth is, humans are becoming seriously professional at ordering these tremors up. We don't just stand on Earth's surface. We're reaching deep into its guts to dig out resources. And sometimes the planet decides to fire back with one seriously annoyed shudder. From building giant hydroelectric dams with billions of tons of water pressing on fault lines, to fracking, pumping high-pressure fluid into the ground to release gas, we're accidentally greasing geological machines that really should have been left alone. Every time a big reservoir fills up, the massive pressure makes rock layers slip, creating induced seismicity. A fancy name for sabotaging your own foundation. It's like trying to stuff a giant into a t-shirt 3 sizes too small. Sooner or later those seams are gonna burst and everything falls apart. In places like Oklahoma, the number of earthquakes has shot up to insane levels in just a few years, turning a peaceful patch of land into a non-stop shaking dance floor. All because of oil drilling. The funny part? We love blaming bad luck when disaster strikes, while we're the ones enthusiastically poking the geological fire ant nest below with a stick. Basically, we're giving Earth a free back massage, an extremely rough one, and the planet is clearly not a fan of all that over-enthusiasm. Number 3. Earth is slimming down. The ironic part? While humanity's stressing over obesity, Earth is quietly on a cosmic-scale diet that nobody's talking about. You might think the planet is bulking up from tons of space dust and falling meteorites, but actually we're literally running low on air. Every year, roughly 95,000 tons of hydrogen and helium escape the atmosphere and fly straight out into space. Kind of like a balloon slowly deflating, with no way to save it. Gravity's strong enough to keep our feet on the ground, but it's totally helpless against feather-light atoms once the harsh solar radiation heats them up. Once they hit escape velocity, they pull off a spectacular getaway from Mother Earth's embrace, chasing eternal freedom among the stars. Meanwhile, the food falling in from space is only about 40,000 tons. Which means the planet drops about 50,000 tons every year. No gym, no crash diet required. Don't panic though. With its current mass, Earth isn't vanishing anytime soon. But it does show we're living on an entity that's slowly draining its core resources. The atmosphere isn't some airtight iron cage. It's a leaky basket dripping our most precious elements into the endless void, every single second. With every breath you take, Earth loses a little more of its atmospheric soul, making us passengers on a ship that's slowly shedding its thinnest protective shell. Earth is truly going through a billion-year-long weight loss crisis, turning it into a giant growing ever skinnier against the cold, creeping erosion of space. Number 2. A plastic city beneath the ground. While you're busy tidying your messy room and complaining about plastic waste, Earth is quietly swallowing it all to build a brand new geological layer. So please welcome the birth of the technosphere. This man-made shell includes everything humans have ever built, from old phones and skyscrapers to billions of tons of concrete. Scientists recently discovered a new kind of rock called plastiglomerate, a bizarre fusion of natural stone, sand, and plastic melted together by intense heat. This isn't ordinary pollution anymore. This is us forcing Earth to accept a new identity, where plastic becomes part of the natural rock cycle. The total weight of human-made stuff has officially surpassed the weight of every living thing on the planet, from the tiniest bacteria to the blue whale. We've literally turned the blue planet into a planet of plastic and concrete, leaving behind a geological legacy for 1,000,000 years from now. If another civilization ever shows up, they'll find fossils of toothbrushes and soda bottle caps sitting right next to dinosaur bones. Our brains simply can't grasp the sheer scale of this change. We still think of plastic as something alien, but to the planet, it's just a new raw material. Ecosystems are straining to adapt to a reality where rivers flow through plastic channels and the oceans slowly turn into a thick polymer soup. Basically, we've become reluctant geological architects, personally designing a plastic hell we don't even know how to fully dismantle. Number 1. The shrinking of old age. Old age usually comes with wrinkles and shrinking, and it turns out our blue planet is no exception to this harsh rule. While we're all obsessing over rising sea levels, deep down below, Earth is actually quietly and relentlessly shrinking. The reason is that the molten iron core is slowly losing heat into cold space, and by simple physics, everything shrinks as it cools. As the insides contract, the hard outer crust becomes too baggy for the shrinking body, forcing it to crack and fold over itself. These geological wrinkles are the majestic mountain ranges, treacherous faults, and deep canyons we so admire on the map. In reality, they're just the marks of a planet-scale aging process, kind of like a grape slowly turning into a wrinkly raisin. The once smooth, glossy shell is now full of deep grooves and flaking patches, starved of energy and warmth from Earth's center. This process is incredibly slow, only a few millimeters per century, but enough to completely reshape the geology and trigger the most silent shifts. We're living on an entity that's curling up against the coldness of the cosmos, trying to hold on to its last bit of warmth by squeezing the rock layers tight. That solid ground you stand on every day is actually a rug being slowly wrinkled up by the invisible hand of harsh thermodynamics. Bottom line, we're just tiny creatures living in the wrinkles of a giant easing into its twilight years. So don't be too surprised if the ground suddenly bulges up. It's just the planet adjusting its rocky coat to fit a little better. Alright folks, that's it for today. My brain cells are running low, so cut me some slack, yeah? But hey, don't let the Earth fool your eyes. There are still tons of mysteries left untold. If you enjoyed this, smash that like, share it so your friends can have a laugh, and subscribe so we can keep digging up more of the weird secrets this planet is hiding. Take care, and I'll see you next time, my friends.